This is a lesson for Comma and Fanboys, which we've talked about already. But just a reminder, Fanboys is an acronym that stands for and, nor, but, or, yet, so. These words have the power to connect two independent clauses. So usually if we have an independent clause, it just has to stand by itself. And it doesn't like to stand by another independent clause. But if we use a comma and a fanboy, we can connect two independent clauses. Just as a reminder, an independent clause has a subject and verb, and it can be a complete sentence by itself. It can just stand there by itself, and it would be a complete sentence. Now, all of these examples are grammatically correct, but I need to identify the fanboy, the two independent clauses, and the subject and verb for each independent clause. So I wanted to go to the park, comma, but it started raining. Well, I see a comma there, and I see that we use a fanboy here, which is but, so I'll circle, but I know that this side has to be an independent clause, and this side has to be an independent clause. So I'll put an IC on this side, and an IC on that side. Now, technically, this first part could just stand by itself. I wanted to go to the park, period. That works. Second side as well. It started raining, period. That works as well. Green is going to be my subject. Pink is going to be my verb. It's easier for me to find the verb first. A verb is an action or a state of being. I wanted to go to the park. What's the thing that I'm doing? Well, I wanted. And then who or what wanted, I did. So I is the subject and wanted is the verb. Now let's do that for the second independent clause. It started raining. What was it doing? It started raining is actually the whole verb phrase. And then who or what started raining? It did. So there's subject verb. Okay, let's do it with this one. She loves to bake cookies and she also enjoys making cakes. Well, I see a comma here and a fanboy, so I'll circle that. An independent clause has to be on this side and an independent clause has to be on that side. She loves to bake cookies. What does she do? Well, she loves. So that's a verb. And then who or what loves? She does. So that's the subject. She also enjoys making cakes. Well, enjoys making is what she's doing. So that's the verb. And then she is the subject. She was tired, yet she stayed up late to finish the project. I see a comma, I see a fanboy, I'm going to circle that. Independent clause on this side, independent clause on this side. She was tired. Now, at first, I probably want to say that tired was the verb. But then I remember the secret state of existence verb is, am, are, was, were, be, being, and been. So there's the state of existence verbs. So I know that she was tired. Was would be the verb. Tired would be describing what she was, which would be an adjective. And then who or what was? Well, she was, so that's the subject. She stayed up late to finish the project. What was happening? Stayed up. Who or what stayed up? She was. We wanted to go hiking, but the trail was closed. See a comma here. And a fanboy, so I circle that. I know there has to be an independent clause on this side and an independent clause on this side. We wanted to go hiking. What were they doing? They wanted. So that's the verb. Who or what wanted? We did, so that's the subject. The trail was closed. I see that there's was, which is one of the state of existence verbs. Was is a verb. Who or what was? It was the trail, so that's the subject. Okay, perfect. So now these ones, I have to put the comma and then do the same things with the independent clause, subject, and verb. So the sky was clear and the stars were shining brightly. Pretty easy. I see a fanboy here. Now I need to double check. So if I put a comma here and circle this and said this was a fanboy, that means that this side has to stand by itself and this side has to stand by itself. The sky was clear, period. The stars were shining brightly, period. Now, just to double check, I would make sure it has a subject and verb. The sky was clear. I see that was is one of those state of existence verbs. Who or what was is the sky. So subject, verb, the sky was clear. That's an independent clause. The stars were shining brightly. I see that were is one of the state of existence verbs, so it should have been in pink. So that's a verb. And then who or what were is the stars, subject. You could take the train or you could drive your car. I see a fanboy here, or, so I put a comma before it, circle or. I say there's an independent clause on this side and an independent clause on this side. You could take the train. Could take would be the verb phrase. You could drive your car. Could drive would be the verb phrase. Who or what could take or could drive. You and you, which are both my subjects for both independent clauses. Once again, this could stand by itself. You could take the train, period. You could drive your car, period. That would work. He was nervous about the performance, yet he performed flawlessly. Well, I see a fanboy here, yet, which is not one of the common ones. The fanboy yet and the fanboy but can be switched out without changing the meaning of the sentence, because we could say he was nervous about the performance, but he performed flawlessly. So he was nervous about the performance. Was is a state of existence verb. He would be the subject. He performed flawlessly. What was he doing? Well, he performed. And then who or what performed? He did. So there's the subject. Last one. It was getting late, so they decided to head home and go to bed. Well, at first, I see this fanboy and. But if I put a comma here and circle this, that means that this side has to be an independent clause. But if I say go to bed, go to seems like a verb, but there's no subject. Who or what go to bed? That doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to look throughout the sentence and see if there's another fanboy to see if it works. It was getting late, so they decided to head home. So if I put a comma here and I circle this and say it's a fanboy, this side has to be an independent clause and this side has to be an independent clause. It was getting late. That can stand by itself because I see the verb here was, and then who or what was, it was it. They decided to head home and go to bed. What did they do? Well, they decided. And then who or what decided? They did. So, pretty easy. I just wanted to double check with the fanboy so and the fanboy and, because this is not connecting to independent clauses. So we don't need a comma there, because if we did, it would be grammatically incorrect because this side is not an independent clause. So that is the lesson for comma and fanboys.